Yeah.
All right. So we're hooking up to the different
Okay.
platforms. I just want to make sure they lock in. And I'm just going to flip on the intro as soon as I see. Oh, here we go. They're starting to come in. Let's see. We've had a lot of weird stuff happening on the tech side lately.
Yeah, I remember last time, I think, the last time we were on, Facebook went down for you, but then it came back on.
Yeah, that was trippy.
That was
trippy. That was in January. Yeah, that was very strange. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to play the intro real quick. We got 6 minutes. We'll be 6 minutes. We got 8 people in the house. I'm going to give them a little bit more time. So we'll be right back with Ryan Hill. How's it going, everybody? We got Ryan Hill in the house. This is, if you're not aware, Grace Solaris is our beautiful sister's partner who lives in Colorado, where they've been getting a lot of sunshine lately and no precipitation.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of snow, a little bit of a blizzard last week, but then the next day it'll be 60 and sunny, so it's pretty good.
Yeah. Welcome to the Ascension and crazy weather patterns and all the other stuff that's going on. So, I mean, it's just everything's changing so fast. Like, what is happening at the individual level? I mean, like, what's happening with Ryan? I mean, what are you feeling? What are you getting on a personal level and even on a collective level, if you have any intel on that?
Yeah, I felt a lot of just calm and peace lately in the last few weeks. So with Grace and I, we're preparing for a trip to Egypt, which is great. But just through our kind of merging process, I mean, there's a lot of energetics going on with that and upgrades. Me personally, I've noticed a lot of changes physically and energetically, and then a lot of things have been shed. I've been shedding a lot of emotions. Just a lot of stuff coming up for review and clearing. So it's been, I guess it can be intense at times with stuff popping up that I've got to clear out and get rid of so I can hold more light and continue merging deeper with Grace. But I feel like overall on sort of a collective level, I feel like there's been a little bit of a calm, a little bit of peace. But I sort of stay in my own bubble sometimes too, and just kind of do the inner work and work with Grace, and that's kind of it. So
yeah, right on.
Yeah.
And so, like, Morgan, I was just talking to Morgan, and she's been going through a lot of stuff in the last 2 weeks, and very, I would have to say, like, phenomenal levels of experience, activations, expansion, and everything that goes with it. And in the big part of that is with the mother and father, the energy of the mother and father, in literal terms as well as energetic terms, and it's looks like it's taking place at the DNA level.
Okay. Yeah.
I just went upstairs after the show because I was talking to William Melchizedek, and I was asking him, "Do you think we have to go talk to our parents? Because so many of us, that's a great opportunity,
Yeah.
and lay it on the line and give what we give, like in our daily efforts in these communities, what we're doing as we serve." So it was kind of interesting when she was telling me what she'd been going through. But when I walked upstairs into her office, she was muscle testing. And
Oh, yeah.
she came up with two words so far. One was right, and the other one was bio. God, no, I'm sorry. It was kilo or something kilo.
Okay.
Something I'd never seen the word before, and she'd never seen it. But when I
Hmm.
went up there, she had it pulled up on the computer, and it had to do with kind of a minute level of measurement on a molecular basis to include how to measure or a means of measuring nuclei acids, chromosomes, and I think it actually said DNA as well.
Wow.
So I'm wondering, to me, like the energy, because she gets things early. The
I
energy
see
of
a lot
it
of her
feel.
posts. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's that kind of like that's a message or a metaphoric description of we're getting down to the nitty gritty now. We're getting down to the nitty gritty of, as people often say, back to the original DNA blueprint.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's shifting. I mean, I've felt like things are really happening, and I mean, every day I feel changes. Sometimes for me, it can be a little tricky to decipher exactly what's going on. I mean, I'm sure everybody's like that too, but as you know, when you're in a really deep merging process, with somebody, there's so much interjects going on with that, and the souls coming together and just all those kind of changes.
Yeah,
But then we've got everything collectively too that's hitting at the same time. So I'm kind of getting it from both angles, and sometimes I don't. It can be hard to tell exactly what's going on, but it feels good, and
yeah,
it just
yeah,
very just know that things are happening, and it's exciting. It's really exciting times, and I don't know, I like it all. So
Well, it's kind of like taking us on this journey too of I'm losing all these identities.
yeah,
So what is my identity? She said to me a minute ago, like, all this has happened, and I don't know who I am. Right? I
yeah,
mean, I get the energy of that, and yeah, like if we're losing all these identities, what is my identity? What am I? It's taken that question that we all asked ourselves when we, at some point in our life, pre-awakening or when we awoke, which is what is God and what am I, and all that stuff.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, the layers are peeling off. I felt that too, especially, Grace and I came together end of July, and I mean, I had been awake since 2013 or so, but I mean, that kind of blew the doors off of it, and I wasn't expecting. The twin flame thing really was not on my radar. So when it happened, it was incredible, and it really, like you just said, it shifted me out of a lot of things, what I thought my mission was, or
Hmm.
who I thought I was in life, or where I would be in life from a geographic standpoint and everything else. And so it kind of, I think it reinforced something that the message I've gotten this year is be comfortable being uncomfortable, and don't be attached to an outcome. Those are
Hmm.
like the two things that keep like hitting me over the head. And I feel like it's just kind of flow, and I'm kind of redefining who I am and just embracing it. And yeah, so it's been interesting, I think,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
hear.
I think we're reaching a level of awareness where attaching to an outcome equals expectation.
It
And we
does.
know we can't operate on expectation because that totally throws the field out of balance.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And I've been saying this for months, not because I'm smart. I've been actually asking the question on the shows, which is maybe the biggest challenge isn't how do we do our shadow work or 0 point or whatever. whatever the different, aspects of this ascension ride have been. But maybe the biggest challenge is becoming comfortable with the uncomfortable to the human, but the comfortable and familiar to the soul. In other words, becoming that which we are and have always been, as it's being embodied, as evidenced by these things that are occurring, such as what Morgan was just talking about. But maybe it's your guidance was be comfortable in the uncomfortable. Maybe the uncomfortable is becoming our original blueprint.
Yeah, I think it's like you just said, our soul essence. That's sometimes I think when, at least for me, when I'm aligning more to my soul and there's changes going on and everything is coming in, I can perceive it as being uncomfortable from my 3D standpoint, or even feeling some of the energetics or the upgrades. I can sort of feel like, wow, this is kind of intense or whatever, but it's really just getting back to who we really are and what I've always known and I've just forgotten. So I think some of it is how I perceive things and look at it. But I've just felt like, I don't know, I just kind of go in and do the work and wouldn't say keep myself totally in a bubble, but just kind of work on myself and not really get too attached to outcomes or things that I think should happen or things happening the way I want them to. Things like that.
Yeah. And so, like, even with the experience, like a lot of people have said, time's different now. The concept and construct of time is changing. Everything's changing, and if we're changing on the inside, and we're being, it's arguably challenged by our true nature because we're not used to it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that also occur in our surroundings, right? I mean, like, I remember having a very strong, powerful dimensional experience, and it took place in Atlantis, right? And I remember being in this house with another person, and I remember the atmosphere was totally different than it is now. It would be more like what occurred when I had, like, say, had an out of body experience.
Okay.
It was there was certain sound in the air. There was a certain palpability to the atmosphere itself, almost like you could touch the air, But it was very peaceful. It was a very I don't want to say silent, but a very quiet, peaceful frequency and atmosphere.
Okay.
And so I guess what I'm saying is, I wonder too, I mean, it would make sense to me that if this is occurring within us and we're having to get used to, wow, this is, the shoe's not dropping, things aren't, out of whack, and we're actually going to see that type of thing, in our lifetime.
Yeah. Well, I guess it can be kind of the reverse, right? So we had the beauty of Atlantis, and then we had the fall, and now it's coming right back to, like you said, where the atmosphere is different and everything is different frequency. So yeah, I think whatever is going on collectively, it's kind of going within too. And so, yeah, it's definitely been interesting.
Yeah. Somebody was on yesterday and they were talking, I think it was yesterday. Oh, you know who I think it was? I think it was Sunday with Daniel Scranton.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know.
I think that was him. Let me just double check. I don't want to misspeak. Yeah, I believe it was him. So he was talking about the toroidal field, right? The way the toroidals, and he was saying that we're at a point, in that central part where we're coming up, about to go out again and start all over. Like maybe that's metaphorically explained, like in the rises and falls. I mean, the planet itself, the narrative that's in many sacred texts is there were fallen angels, or we fell.
Yeah.
And then you have the rise, and then of course the Jesus story and many other stories. That resonates to me. Like we're on the cusp of a new creation, popping out of the top of that toroidal field.
It does. Yeah. I mean, I've felt that too, and it just, I don't know. Just intuitively, I feel like that's where we're going. Time is interesting, so it's hard to kind of gauge how things are going to happen or when. But again, it's kind of goes back to not subscribing to a particular specific timeline or theory, and just sort of going with the flow and trusting that things will work out.
So on a personal level, like, I mean, this year, because this year's been 2 months and 23 days, and it feels like 45 years. But like on a personal level, like physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, spiritually, relationship wise, individual journey wise, I mean, what are the things that stand out for you these last few weeks?
I think, the biggest theme, I think, for me, and this is for the last 7 months, especially since I came together with Grace, is I have cleared so much stuff. I mean, I've been in acceleration mode even before I met her. I'd say in the last year, I was really starting to dig and clear things, and I think a lot of that work I did enabled us to come together, because I was kind of balanced enough to where it would work and where our frequencies would, when it was, the timing was right. Obviously, she's somebody who's done her work and has been on the path for a long time. And so we came together, and I had been clearing a lot of stuff. And then when we came together, it was like acceleration mode. So a few nights a week, I would be sitting and clearing. And a lot of the themes were like inner child. That was a big one for probably 6 months. And I think that's kind of winding down. And then a lot of stuff with our relationship. So I had a lot of fear around losing her again. So I had she's had it as well, but a really deep core wound of
separation,
losing each other. Yeah. And then part of it too is separation from source, but a lot of it is just, okay, now we're here together again. This feels so good. All this energetic stuff is going on, and we're in this just kind of blissy all the time. And then these core wounds will come up where I'll have that fear of, well, what if it ends? What if she dies? What if I die? Whatever it is. Right. So those kind of core wounds would come up. And so I've had a lot of those themes, and I think those are the biggest things. But I always notice after we have a deep merging, if you will, over Zoom, or just get into such a high frequency and really open up the heart, I'll often have some of my deepest releases later that night, because I've been so opened up. I mean, I'm sure you can relate to that. And so I think,
I'm with someone similar to her. So it's kind of like, get down to business, boy. Sure. I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a very positive way. Yeah. But it's that feminine energy, the impact when it comes from someone like Morgan or Grace, the impact on the masculine is huge. I mean, to me, it's a metaphor for what's happening totally. Because I mean, and here we go back to the identity thing. The masculine thinks he's this, thinks he's that, and all of a sudden, and he's been doing his work, right? Or he wouldn't have hooked up with the feminine energy, and then all of a sudden he gets hit with it, and the identities start to fall, which is kind of like what's happening to the patriarchal itself. Right.
Yeah, that's happened to me, and I've kind of reevaluated. Aside from all the clearing, I've reevaluated kind of every aspect of my life, and how Grace and I are moving forward together, and then from an energetic standpoint, just from like a frequency level and all the changes in my body and the Kundalini and just everything like that physically. I feel amazing, and I'm noticing different changes every week, and I need less sleep. I just feel like I'm constantly kind of just charged, and I can, a lot of things that might have worn me out before do not. So a lot of the physical stuff too is pretty different, and I think also a sense of just peace and joy. I noticed that. I mean, I've always been a pretty happy person, but I just notice a lot of the time I'm almost like dancing around and happy and laughing to myself and talking to myself and just in this very blissy state, which is as a result of us, and she can hold it even higher where she's kind of like that just all the time. And so it's a real gift to go through a lot of, even though there's turmoil in the world or however I want to perceive it, it's like it doesn't even matter because I'm just in this bubble of joy if I want to be, I can always step out of it and get in my head, but it's pretty amazing that we can share that, in these times when things could be perceived as a little chaotic out there. So it's, for me, 2020 has been the best year of my life by far. It's been the most challenging, but it's been the best. And I think that's when the growth.
Patricia Julie Burke said shit and sugar.
Mm-hmm. No, that's it. Yeah.
That's the recipe. That's a recipe of a shift. So what about the, I mean, and there's no right or wrong. I mean, but we talk about the inner child a lot, through the years, you see a lot of that, rightfully so. And you have seen discussion of the mother wound and the father wound too.
Yeah.
Has that now entered your field? Has that been something you've visited before? And if so, how many times do you think? And I mean, I don't know. It just seems to be, I had a big night last night, and I asked Morgan when I saw her, I said, how was your night last night? And she asked me, and I said, mine was huge. And I woke up with this whole mother-father thing happening. And then she started to tell me what I told you earlier. I just wonder. So for you, has it presented itself? I mean, is this something you visited a while back, or?
It's a little, I don't know. It's a little different. Maybe started coming in 7 months ago or longer. But I would just notice it was weird when I would look at a picture of myself as a kid, like 3 or 4. It was hard for me to look at the picture.
Wow.
To the point where I remember when I was always in my parents' house, I wouldn't want to look at pictures of myself, and we would have photo albums, and it was like I won't say repellent from it, but I just didn't want to look at it. And then when I started to open up more my heart, I would actually look at pictures on my phone copied from old photo albums, and I would have these huge releases. And what I was getting, a lot of it was just that separation from source, that core coming here and being separated from source in the 3D. And then there would be little manifestations of it where I would have times where I would release around not wanting to be here. There was times in the past where I don't think I really wanted to be here, and I have an addiction background. I drank and did a lot of things for years because I think I felt so foreign here and uncomfortable. So yeah, I haven't drank in like 12 years, but that was a big part of my theme too. But I think it was the separation from source. I think a lot of it is I'm highly sensitive, I'm highly emotional, and I think just being here was difficult, and I had to release a little bit of guilt and shame around having those thoughts of not wanting to be here.
Not wanting to be here.
So I had that as a theme for maybe 2 weeks, and it kind of intertwined with the inner child when I would look at that. And then it also goes with Grace too. When I look at pictures of her as a child, I feel her pain. I feel her inner child, and our energies of our inner child are very identical, and she can feel into mine. And so I'll sit there and I'll look at pictures of her when she was 3, and I'll start crying, and I'll feel, it's almost like I'm processing stuff from her too. But that's really been the biggest theme, and multiple nights a week dealing with it and getting through it. But I think I think it's multi-layered, but it's finally starting to kind of suffice. But I've had other things in there too, but that's the biggest one, if that kind of answers.
Yeah. Absolutely, it does.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're a practitioner. You work with people, right?
Yeah, yeah. Years ago, after my awakening, I got into Reiki and crystal healing. And so I was a Reiki master for a number of years, and then a holistic health coach. But my big passion now is breath work.
Yeah.
So I love doing breath work, whether it's just kind of the like ancient yogic breathing or the deep belly breathing where people lay down and it's kind of a guided breathwork session and people have almost like psychedelic experiences, or they
Really?
clear, they release emotions and things like that. And so I really like
So does that occur from both of those methods? Like that first one you mentioned sounded like it's been around a while.
Yeah, it's interesting because the first time I did breath work was maybe, I don't know, maybe a little over 2 years ago. And I was just doing this deep belly breathing, and this practitioner was guiding me through, and my whole body lit up with energy. And I felt really good. And then all of a sudden at the end, I started to get really emotional and I started crying in there, and I hadn't cried in quite a while. And I even got a little twinge of something that I had a lot of guilt around from probably 25 years ago. And so I went home and sort of journaled about it and didn't process it fully. And then when I was doing like a plant medicine ceremony a number of months later, the same thing popped up. So it's a way, it's just another tool that people can use to use the breath to stir up and clear emotions or bring things to the surface. It kind of just unclogs things, if you will, and it can be a really good tool.
Hmm.
But
So
yeah,
can you give us an example of one of them? Probably not the belly one, but could you give us an example or just explain it to us how you do it?
like there's one that I do, like a really good, it's just kind of an energizer, and it's really easy to do. So I just kind of sit up straight. So if I'm having a lull in the day and I just need
Hmm.
kind of a pick me up, I just sit up straight, and then it's just called in through the nose, out through the mouth. So I come in here and I and typically the faster you would do that, the more energy you would pull into your body. So it kind of works on the sympathetic nervous system, which is essentially like the fight or flight. So you want to do it in moderation, but it will really make you alert, get the juices flowing. But then there's other breath work you can do, like nose breathing, where it's diaphragm breathing, in through the nose for a count of 4, out through the nose, and that'll work on the parasympathetic system. So it'll keep you calm, kind of the rest and digest.
Hmm.
So it really, I guess the cool thing about it is you can really shift your nervous system really quickly in a matter of 2 or 3 minutes, depending on what type of breathwork technique you do.
Yeah.
And then there's like the alternative nostril that's good for balancing. So people have done that in yoga a lot, or breath of fire, So
Yeah.
it's fun. I really
It's
like.
got to be, there's definitely got to be something to it, I mean, I had a couple of Kundalini experiences at about 25.
Yeah.
They scared the hell out of me, and I shut it down. But they occurred because I was doing a breathing exercise.
Oh wow.
So I would
Okay.
lay down at night. It was take a full breath into your
Yeah.
diaphragm. You hold it for the count of 4. You release through pursed lips for the count of 8.
Yeah.
You do a couple of those, and then you go into, I think I think they call it box breathing. So
It's
you
like
would
a
have like 4 seconds inhale, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds exhale, 4 seconds pause, and something to that effect. There might have been 6, or in fact, I think it was, but it created that
yeah.
Kundalini experience.
That's what, and I notice now, especially with my energetics that are so much different. I was doing the other week, I was doing kind of an hour deep belly breathing, and I could feel how different my energy body was, how I could get pull energy certain areas, or how my hand chakras were firing differently, And I've heard that a lot, that a lot of people will go to these breathwork sessions and their third eye will pop open. Or,
Yeah.
I mean, people have crazy stuff happen.
Yeah.
And the holotropic breath work, a lot of people have psychedelic experiences. I don't know as much about all
Yeah.
that.
Somebody just mentioned that a minute ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
holotropic pilot.
do you ever you know, everybody experiences things differently, but do you ever get like physical, or what type, I should say, physical sensations, be they when you're in communion or when something's popping in? You know what I mean?
You mean if I'm getting a download, or if Grace
Like,
and I?
yeah, you could be getting a download, you could be getting validation, you could be consciously connecting. You know, like you could call it meditation, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Do you get body physical sensations, and if so, what are they?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I'll have sensations. A lot of times I just feel the higher self, physically, like kind of coming into me. And I'll have a lot of, if I connect into the earth, I mean, I can just pull in energy all the way through and up, just like a pipe, and pull that
Mhm.
energy through. Or if I sit in, connect into source, that's just kind of a different energy coming through me. But I'll have a lot of times where even in the morning, like I'll feel Grace. So I could tell when she wakes up,
Mm.
all of a sudden my high heart is like, I mean, it almost feels, I don't want to say like an anxiety attack because that would give it a bad connotation, but it fires up so much that I'll be like I have to kind of sit back and breathe. And even right now, my whole body is lit up. My legs feels like there's tingles or electricity going all the way up
Yeah,
the lower parts of my legs, and
yeah.
that's just from merging with her.
And that's one of the reasons I asked you, because
Yeah.
you know, like everybody, I mean, I've had different types of sensations and tonalities, but
Hmm.
what I've noticed is, and I don't know, maybe the last few weeks it's picked up, but
Yeah.
the frequencies picked up, and I mean that both ways, you know, in terms of how often it occurs and also the level of the frequency. And the other thing that's happened, it's become more prominent. And
Yeah.
it's like I'm happy that you said this, because I thought maybe something was wrong with me, but
Mhm.
this electrical thing, right? And
Yes.
then this vibratory thing, this vibration kind of thing too. And they're both inside the
Yep.
body, or you know, beneath the skin, where, you know, like I think everybody pretty much has had these moments where they get the shivers or the tingles, you know, you feel something,
Oh,
but
yeah.
this is inside, and it
Yeah.
feels, and it always starts at the feet, mostly. Sometimes it's the hands to the forearm, but mostly it's the feet, and then it goes up into the knees,
Mhm.
but for a long time, but now it's going into, like, I guess where your what do you call it, where your coccyx is, you know, where all your nerves come together. It goes into there, and it still hasn't like come above the waist. But I just was wondering, you know, for somebody like you, what you were going through.
That's exactly the same thing that I've been experiencing, and I think it started maybe a month ago, or I'm not even sure, but it started with the left leg,
Hmm.
and it would be almost like your leg is asleep, but electricity, like you
Yeah.
plug into a light socket, and you're right, it travels up the calf, kind of goes into the thigh and goes up. And then it started on the left leg about a week ago. But I mean, I've had nights where
Did
I'll
it
be
start? Did you say it started on the right or left leg?
start on the right with me, and I
Because
would feel it a little bit on the left, and then it
yeah.
shifted up the left leg too. And
So when
it's
you
like
said it,
right now, it's
yeah,
crazy. It's
when
just
you said it at first, you said left leg. You started with the left leg, and then so I knew that you had meant the right leg. And I was
okay.
going to say mine started on the right side, and
Okay.
that actually probably actually started, like, you know, I want to say like 5 years ago, maybe. But that's the reason I asked the question, is because it's really picked up a lot. And
Yeah.
you're saying that the same's happened to you in the last month, which is interesting.
Yeah, yeah, and mine actually started right leg and then kind of moved to the left leg. And I've had times also where I've just been kind of laying down and I'll feel something. It's almost like a foot cramp, but it's not. It's something like almost like a rod going into my foot, and you have to kind of push through it, and then it'll go into my leg, and it's almost like it's coming into my leg and like carving out energetic channels. A lot of, I don't know. I like that stuff. Some people might be freaked out by it, but I don't know. I like all the energetics and the changes, and I've had a lot of like third eye stuff going on, and just, crown. I mean, all over the place, I guess, but
yeah, same here. There's a lot of things going on, and I have like scant recollection, almost like when you come out of a dream and it's right on the tip of your mind's tongue and you can't get it out.
Yeah,
but there's been a lot of stuff like that happening, very multifaceted, but I can't like put my finger on anything and go in depth about it. But there has been a couple of I guess experiences while I'm in a conscious state. But those occurred day before and day after or day of the equinox.
Okay.
Did you have anything go on equinox?
On equinox? Well, we were supposed to be in Egypt. Oh, no, actually, I did the activation. Grace had an activation.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how did that go? I mean, what kind of experience was it?
Yeah, so I am actually going to be doing it this week. So I was teaching a breathwork seminar the time that they did it.
Okay.
So I'm going to be doing it a little bit later this week. Okay. So I haven't had a chance to do it yet.
How was the energy of the seminar?
It was good. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a neuropathic group, like a doctor, and she had me lead breath work for it's probably 60 people, so it was good. I mean, really good energy, and
it's a pretty good gig too. The light workers are going mainstream now.
Yeah, trying to. So it was good, and then and then I think I might be going down to Sedona around the same time you guys are. You guys are going end of May, right? Or do you know for sure?
We're actually going to arrive the 19th, and we'll leave the 9th or 10th of June.
Okay.
So the festivals are 28th, 29th, and 30th.
Okay.
And 31st, actually. Yeah. Have you been to Sedona?
Yeah, I started going there in 2016, and I've gone there every year at least once or twice. So I've always had a real affinity for it, and I've had some amazing activations. So my spot is kind of laying on Bell Rock. So I went there last June. So it would have been around about almost a year ago. For what was solstice? Yeah, it was the solstice weekend, I think, right? Back in June.
I can't remember when did we go?
Yeah, but it was I mean, I went to Bell Rock at sunset and then just laid down there, and I had the craziest activation I've ever had. I mean, my whole body was vibrating. I felt like I was going to float away, and I couldn't really move. And it got dark, and you can see like UFOs there and all sorts of stuff going on in the sky. And I just had this amazing activation, and I had to kind of walk back down the trail at night, and it was hard for me to even drive back into town. Like I almost had to pull over because I had such an activation there. And then I think right when I came back from there is when I contacted Grace.
Wow.
And we met, and and I also started having all these like clearings and experiences and things like that.
It's a special place, no doubt. Now you said you were going to be going in May or June.
Yeah, I was going to go early May, but then I saw that you guys were going to be down there end of May, so I might try to shift it. But I usually go around May or June every year, and I was, a lot of years I was really into crystals. And so I would go there and load up on crystals and just hike. And I always, I don't know, I feel so different when I'm there. It's just like floating. Everybody's nice. It feels like you kind of, I know New Earth is here, but unless you go into
a grocery store without a mask. I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
okay.
I'm kidding because Morgan had a little thing go down. It was pretty funny.
Uh, I thought there was something
Yes.
cool about that there, but
So yeah, I didn't have. So yeah, and on that note, just since you know Sedona, and for anyone who's you know possibly going to be there, so we're going to have the 2.5 day event, which is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Monday's Memorial Day, and so
okay.
Monday we've got the chocolate tree, and so we're going to have a gathering. We're going to take the gathering to the chocolate tree. That's free. I mean, that's just, something that we're going to put together because there's that holiday. So that'll be cool. Hope you're there.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd like to. Grace and I are going to be in Egypt, and then when we come back from that, I'll be here for a few weeks, and then I'd like to get down to Sedona. So I'll keep you posted.
Right on. Right on.
That would be awesome to get down there. I like the chocolate trees too.
Yeah, it's a cool place, man. You can't deny it. I mean, it's the whole place is they're all over the place. It's not like Sedona just has one place you go. It's pockets and pockets of portals everywhere.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start hopping on tonight, probably every night, just to do a quick 20-minute, 30-minute thing update on the Soulogy Fest. We do have a website, by the way, everybody, SoulogyFest.com. We've got more to add to it, but all the information's there. One of the things that just happened is Jason Estes has agreed to come. He's going to be there. We've still got another 2 or 3 key speaker spots that we're going to fill. But it should be really cool. It's going to be very much audience participation kind of thing. It's like Soulogy style. Probably about 20. Well, with the chocolate tree gathering, it'll probably be 22 hours total that weekend of kind of an open mic frequency.
Okay.
Yeah. So people, if you come, you can share, whatever you want.
Yeah. I saw the website. So looks like Franco will be there. And
yeah.
I always like him on your show.
Yeah. He's going to have 3 spots, one each day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Nice.
Because Franco, he's got to go for a while, but he needs to because he's got that type of information.
Yeah, I watch a lot of his shows, the Advancing Consciousness, which I think you watch too.
Yeah, it is. Really is. Yeah, man. So you're going to have a sexy rendezvous.
We are. Yeah, we'll be in Egypt, and really looking forward to it. So the last time we were supposed to go, I had a passport issue, which I think I talked about when we were on the show, and that was kind of an ordeal to get that sorted out, but that's done. And so we're good to go, and we'll be over there. So it'll be interesting to see what the physical component and energetics are like, and just, after 7 months of the, the energies at a distance. But I think it'll be pretty amazing. I'm really looking forward to it.
I would imagine it will be. We did it for 17 months, and
that's right.
We were merging consistently.
Mm-hmm.
So
what was it like when you guys first? Do you remember the first 2 days you were together physically? Like how it?
Yep. Yeah, I do. Well, the first night she flew into JFK, so I got a hotel in Jersey.
Oh, okay.
And because we were flying out the next morning from whatever the closest airport was to Houston. So the first night, I rented a room with 2 separate beds, and we got settled kind of late. We were only going to probably sleep about 4 hours,
Mm-hmm.
And I was laying on one bed, and I said, can I come lay with you?
Mm.
And I don't remember this part, but she told me, and I believe her. She said that you put your head on my chest and started to cry. So I remember that. And then I remember the second night we were in Houston, and we were at a relative's house. And I think out of respect, I went and slept in a different room. And then, so I don't remember that night too much. But I remember the next night when we did lay together, and it was very, very pure, very innocent, very. I got to experience her chakras soulgasming up and down her spine,
Wow.
as opposed to um, doing it, through Helioscamos in the ethers,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that was pretty phenomenal. I mean, that was that was a phenomenal moment, and the nights that followed. I mean, it was like, and it wasn't sex.
Oh yeah, I know.
It was like, but we were like two teenagers
Yeah.
couldn't stop kissing.
Beautiful.
You know what I mean. So it was very, very, and we had a lot of, and you will too. I can promise you. We had some massive, massive activations or occurrences, um, both the first time she came and the second time
Okay.
within the first few days. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm sure that'll happen. And then also just I've never been to Egypt before, and Grace hasn't either, but just the energies of Giza and going to all those old temples. I think it'll be a good mix of potency.
Hmm.
But yeah, it'll be fun. Yeah, we'll have
Yeah.
to.
That's a pretty intense place to do it.
It is, yeah. It's definitely intense, and she's got a few friends there, and yeah, we'll kind of explore south of Cairo, like Aswan and Luxor, some of those areas, and just kind of keep it open, and then just, yeah, enjoy being together again in the physical.
Right
So
on. Right on. Well, there must be some meaning to, because there are no coincidences. There must be some meaning to the two of you meeting there.
yeah, we've had some kind of insights that was where we needed to potentially go together. So could be a little bit of a planetary aspect to it, and then I think some remembering, so
Yeah.
some past life stuff, maybe things like that. We've had some stuff coming up recently with what was our last incarnation together that's been really powerful, that we've been kind of moving through, and I think this will be, yeah, I think there'll be a lot of remembering from some of the
Mm.
some of the lives in Egypt. So I don't get into a ton of that, but I know that's where I spent some time as well. So should be
So,
interesting.
have you guys made any specific plans? Beyond just going to see certain places or whatever, like just any type of ceremony, or you're just going to let things kind of. And I don't mean marriage. I'm just saying, like, any type of ritual, ceremony. Are you just going to let it occur spontaneously?
Yeah, we're just letting it flow. So we're
Mm.
both we're kind of keeping everything open. I think we're there for 14 days maybe, but we have just sort of tentative little blocks of where we'll be in the country, and then we're just gonna, whatever messages we're getting, wherever we're kind of guided to do, we're just gonna keep it kind of loose and flow and see where we go. So we just want to, yeah, just kind of get there and then figure it out and
Right on.
go that
Yeah.
route. So we're both surprise, surprise, very similar.
So
And
have you had? I mean, I know Grace has multi connections, different essences. Have you had any exchanges or interactions with Egyptian energy?
I have. I mean, I've had some interchanges with like Osiris
Hmm.
energy and some things like that. And um, yeah, I've had some interesting experiences for sure with the Osiris energy and some of that merging and things like that. So I don't, not a whole lot other than that, but I know I have had some past lives there. When I first woke up in 2013 or so, I kind of wanted to trace my lineage, like galactically, where I was from, and then Lemuria, Atlantis, Egypt, and So I did find out a little bit about all of that kind of trajectory, but I haven't had like specific aspects from my Egyptian days come in other than like Osiris energy. So we'll probably go to the temple of Isis at some point. Yeah,
that's a powerful area. That whole area over there is just very powerful.
Yeah, it is.
So, what do you have like major players in terms of consciousnesses that you connect to or that have connected to you?
I'm still kind of, I'd say diving into that. So not probably as
Well, I mean,
much.
not everybody does. I was just wondering if, like,
Yeah.
if you had, some people have specific teachers, I guess, as you would put it that way. Some people
Well,
get it
definitely.
from,
Yeah, I mean, definitely Yeshua.
yeah,
So Yeshua for sure. Mother Mary
yeah,
is somebody that I've connected with a lot. Osiris, the Elohim, being with Grace. I mean, we're kind of one and the same there. So there's been a lot of that as well. But yeah, I would say those would be probably the biggest themes so far.
yeah,
Yeah. And more will be revealed, I'm sure.
right on.
Yeah.
And so, like, at this point in this moment, like, if you had to say like where you're at, what are you working on? What are you examining within yourself? Where's your focus at? Are you in that place of it's just you're in, like you were saying earlier, mostly in bliss and joyful? Are there things that are being presented to you at all?
Yeah, I think the big theme is I've done so much clearing the last 6 or 7 months, and I feel like I mean, we're never done with that, but I feel like I'm kind of coming out of that to where now I'm in more of a blissy state almost all the time, running on less sleep. I'm just always kind of energized and feeling good. So I think, yeah, I think I'm moving into a really good space, and I just noticed that I'm not really impacted by anything externally. It just, if I don't want to go there, or I guess if I really want to get into my head, I could do that. But I just feel like I'm constantly in a very peaceful, kind of blissy, state with a lot of gratitude, which is a nice
Yeah,
shift because
yeah,
I could even say this summer, I would have times where I would get in my head about something that would be going on, and I would
money.
have to, yeah, I mean, everybody probably
Yeah,
did, but it might take me a couple hours to shift out of it.
yeah,
Whereas now things they just don't really bother me. So I see that as a lot of progress. And then, energetically, it's the more we're merging, the more cool stuff that's happening to me, like we talked about with the legs and some of those things as well. So I'm just kind of enjoying the ride and not trying to get too attached to certain outcomes like we talked about
yeah,
before, and just seeing where it goes. But I think getting together in person is a huge step, and then
yeah.
we'll make plans to be together permanently when the time is right. And I think once that happens, there'll be a lot of cool stuff that'll come on.
By
Come
the
on.
way, I should point this out if you didn't see it, because Morgan's got the chronology down. I'm not going to say that I do.
Okay.
She said we spent the first 3 nights in separate rooms. Now this would be when we went to
Oh,
Texas the next day. She said we spent the first 3 nights in separate rooms, allowing a period of integration of the two humans to get used to each other. I do remember. I do remember. Uh, yeah, that occurring. I don't recall it being 3 days, but she'd be the one to ask, not me. But that I just repeated that, just to make sure you had all the information that we could provide before you step into that into
yeah,
that space.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's a lot to be said for the coming together two more gather. Be it you and Grace or Soulogy Fest. There's something to
Yeah.
be said for that in this energy.
No, it is. Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful, and I think it's been really good for us too, in some respects, probably like you and Morgan can relate to, with being at distance for a period of time and having that time to, be in a constant merge, but from a distance, and just, working through things and getting to know each other. So I think there's a lot of benefits to that. I mean, at some point, ready to do something different, but I think it's been a really beautiful
It's a
7 months.
blessing. It's a
Yeah.
blessing. It's a blessing not to have the, I mean, from my standpoint, of course, I can say that because I did it for 17 months, but
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I mean, to me, I look at it, if I look at it, like say from a higher self perspective.
Yeah.
Well, I got to know my higher self. I got to be introduced formally
Mm-hmm.
to my higher self and to hers.
Wow.
In that 17 months, it was always the four of us, if that makes any sense, right?
It does. Yeah.
And that actually carried over. I remember this. And, so she came for 10 weeks. We ended up in Utah at a friend's house. She had to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about how you feel, it's become so much of an absolute now that it's almost subtle. But back then it was much stronger. But I remember I was dealing with her being gone, and I basically was called to a meeting while I'm conscious, right? I'm walking around outside with her higher self, my higher self, and her. It was really,
Wow.
and the reason I bring it up is because that was a very comforting, validating moment, and I believe it, if not the reason, a part of the reason, or a big part of the reason it occurred, was because of all that time we had spent in the ethers together.
Yeah.
So
No,
there's something to be said for the foundation being laid. I'm not saying right or wrong, but I'm just saying
Mhm.
certainly I can see the benefits, and I think that's what you're referring to, and you're going to experience.
Yeah, I think so too. And just as you know, when you first start meeting, just the upgrades that start happening, it's nice to be, to kind of work through some of that
Mm-hmm.
before the physical. And then I don't know if you had, when you guys met, did you do a lot of emotional work before that, or did you start to have, like, every week you're just like, what is going on because of
No,
the
no. I'm laughing because when we actually met, I had been in Philly and I had to go to JFK, and I wasn't that familiar with catching buses and trains and all that, subways.
Yeah.
So I ended up arriving 30 minutes late. She was
Mm.
out. She was standing outside, and when I saw her, I just I got overly excited.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I didn't pee my pants. Because I
Oh, I
just
get.
started jumping around towards her and then around her, and then she finally looked at me and said, "Can you go sit inside for a few minutes?" And I said, "Okay." So, but yeah, well, she was a lot like Grace. I mean, in the terms of her connectivity. So when we went to Houston, we went to work. I mean, she didn't come to waste any time, and she just, she asked me, "Are you prepared to do this?" And I said, after a little resistance, I said, "Yeah." And so
Nice.
we went to work. Yeah, it was a very conscious effort that she directed, and
Yeah.
rightfully so, because I think that's how the energy works.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good space to be walking into. I'm very happy for both of you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we'll have to tell you about our trip when we get back and come on.
Just tell us about the G and the PG parts.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
just kidding. I'm kidding.
We'll talk about the pyramids. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but
So
it'll be good. Yeah.
here's another comment that might be
Well,
useful to you. So she said,
Morgan.
all that merging is far more than we realized. The energetic work we had done, experiences we had proved to have been a foundation that was there. Our humans knew more about each other. That's true. And then we could have imagined, and our bodies knew each other better than we even knew our bodies. Yeah.
Wow.
That's very true, because I can remember, and I must have been like the fourth or fifth, sixth night. We were sleeping in separate rooms for 3 nights. But I can remember putting my hand. Remember, I told you up and down her spine. I remember that. And each chakra, I could feel soulgasming and watch it happening. She actually, I guess what was happening was she was allowing, or she was showing, her essence in the physical form, as she had done in the ethers. But I remember one of the first couple nights, to her point there at the end, I put my hand on her body and got it. And it wasn't the only time, but I got an immediate download. Just
wow,
massive, basically like a quick movie of her life, that I could feel everything. I just started crying. So
wow.
yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, it's become such a natural thing. I don't know how to put it, but that to think about something like that, it's not that I forgot, but you realize just how phenomenal that and other experiences have been.
Yeah. Well, there is so much, because I always try to keep a running journal.
Yeah.
Because there's so many little things, or just we'll connect on something and we'll have this remembrance together, about something from the past. And so like you said, there can be so many things going on, whether it's energetically or like a download or anything, that I try to journal a little bit, because a lot of it's just beautiful, and it could get lost really quickly, just because of how fast things are moving and just the energies. It's definitely interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. You're headed for some activations, I think.
I'm excited. Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
It'll be amazing.
And and Sedona too. I mean, that's always a great hot spot. So
right on.
Yeah.
She has another comment for you. We knew not to partake in old programs of sexuality. We knew not to go into performance, but to allow the merging, the helioscomus, to continue to flow organically. So that's another thing too, is the merging that occurs, when you're apart, all that foundational merging. She's right. I mean, it is basically physical helioscomus, the path of physical helioscomus. So you're actually, I guess, embodying and experiencing that which you experience in the ethers already.
Yeah, which is pretty mind blowing. Yeah. Yeah, and then all the old program stuff too. I mean, that's really important. What she's
she knew that. She knew that coming in. She'd been downloading that for a long time, and I've said this many times, and it makes sense to me. It actually makes sense on really every aspect of our ascension, and that is, she said. Well, I said to her, "What do we? Do you know what we're supposed to do?" And she said, "No, I know what we're not supposed to do." So if I look at my own internal guidance, even before I met her, I was always told, you can't do anything that's been done before. It's got to be from a new place. It's got to be novel, new, from this information that you're getting, basically.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense. No, I mean, that's really good. That's really good advice, for sure.
Well, it's information. I don't know if it's advice, but information. But yeah, I would say that to anybody. That's excellent advice. We were both celibate. That was, I guess, by design, and that's another another thing that's, I think, important. Somebody said it to me. I was talking to a friend yesterday that I've known for quite some time, a sister that we're real tight.
Yeah.
And even though we don't talk, I don't talk very often, but and she's very connected. She's done a lot of what am I trying to say? She has had a lot of dating, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And but anyway, and so she had gone through over this has been over like 3 or 4 years. Because when I met her, she was getting a divorce. But anyway, my point is she was exploring her sexuality, I guess would be one way to put it, finding herself, masculine, feminine, sexual healing, sexual distortion, the whole 9 yards. And so I think it was about 6 weeks ago, she met somebody. And at first she thought that they were going to partner up. And then she realized they weren't. And she said to me, I'm going into celibacy, not to, for traditional reasons,
Yeah.
but to pull in all my energy,
Okay.
Pull back all my soul aspects, that type of thing. So there's something to be said for that. And again, is it advice or is it what's coming?
Yeah, it's more just information. I mean, that's what I guess a lot of the ancients, right? Like the Indian,
Well, to me, that's why.
That.
To me, that's one of the reasons it's going to be such a powerful thing for you to be in Egypt, because we know that was practiced there. Hieroskamos was written about and practiced. In fact, I came across some book or manuscript in the last 10 days, and that was one of the things it was Egyptian.
Okay.
And I don't remember what book it was or what, but they actually wrote about it.
Wow.
I don't know if it's the Emerald Tablets or, I don't know what it is. I don't remember, but I remember I wasn't shocked, but I was like, wow, there it is.
Yeah. It's very fertile for all of that stuff. So I think it's a very applicable place, and
that's a good word.
Yeah.
That's a good word. Fertile.
The whole area. I mean, for kind of everything we're going through right now, I couldn't think of a better spot, on a lot of different levels.
Yeah. But fertile. So you can conceive.
Yes.
Conceive.
Yep.
It makes I wonder sometimes how many energetic babies, whether they're in form or not, do Morgan and I have. I wonder about that sometimes. Like how many creations, I mean, it could be anybody. I'm just saying, I think about, the things that I'm conscious of in terms of experiences with her. And then I'm also conscious that I'm unconscious, because that's that type of stuff to me that's out in the ethers, is you can't really always put your finger on it.
Yeah.
But it's there. Like, it's there. You just can't prove it, kind of thing.
Right.
Probably the same for you and many other couples, I would imagine.
Yeah. It's just kind of the inner knowing, but yeah, you can't really put your finger on everything, but yeah.
Well, man, it was good talking to you. I hope to see you in Sedona. I wish you the very best. And I'm very happy for the both of you. And I'm happy for all of our brothers and sisters who are the recipient of the energy of two like-minded souls reconnecting.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
In the flesh.
Yeah, definitely. And Grace says hi to everybody and gives her best. So yeah, thanks for having me on. And
absolutely, man.
I'll keep you posted on Sedona, but I'll probably be able to hook up with you in May. So that'll be awesome.
Well, that would be cool, man. That would be very cool. And let me know if you're coming, and we're going to be putting together the open mic portions of, which I think is actually like 22 hours, and I'll get you in there and you can teach us how to do some breathing, or
we can do
testimony, or you can show us whatever you can show us from your trip with Grace.
when my light language activates at the pyramids, I can do a light language.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Figure something out.
We're
Cool.
going to be back in 45 minutes. And that's our fourth and final show. Well, not the final show, but that's our fourth episode of Soul Speaks 5D today, and our last one. I'll come back on later and talk about Soulogy Fest and bring everybody up to date. A lady by the name of Chrissy Fire Maine, and she has a organization I think called MANA, M-A-N-A. It sounds very cool. I read through it this morning, but I can't recall what it was about. But I think it's the same type of energy that we're all kind of swimming in. So anyway, we'll be back in 43 minutes for that. Thank you, Ryan Hill. Thank you, Grace Solaris. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you a little bit later. Take it easy, brother.
Good. Thank you. All right,
All right,
we'll see you guys. Yep.
All right,
Bye.
you take care. Okay.